Minister, as someone who knows international law, who knows about sovereignty and territorial integrity, would you think that it would be easy to make a case that using tariffs to coerce territorial gain would constitute at least asymmetrical warfare? Would that be a logical conclusion?
The key for Canada, and I say this as Canada's foreign minister, is that our focus is not on utilizing those types of techniques to pursue the interests of our country. We are, as I mentioned, seeking to grow the domestic economy. And the question is, how do you do this in this era of increasing protectionism and unilateralism? And the way that we are addressing these global issues in an incredibly volatile global environment is to say we need to diversify our supply chains, we need to diversify our trading partners. What sets Canada apart from other countries with whom we are speaking, for example, is that we have a strategy and we're pursuing that strategy. For example, in China, ensuring that we have a strategic partnership and that we are reaching a deal where we're lowering canola tariffs and tariffs on sea and fish products. In addition, ensuring that we are securing foreign direct investment for our country. Recently, the UAE put down a commitment of $71 billion of foreign direct investment for Canada. So we have a strategy that differentiates us from many other countries who are looking to Canada to lead in this moment, and that's exactly what we are doing.
Minister, will Canada send more troops to Greenland to take part in sovereignty exercises that the Danes are planning?
To be clear, we regularly participate in NATO exercises, and we participate in exercises that the CAF itself leads, for example, Operation Nanook. And regarding future deployments and future exercises, those are decisions that the Minister of National Defence makes together with the Chief of Defence Staff. I can say that we look forward to continuing to participate in both NATO exercises as well as exercises led by the Canadian Armed Forces itself.
What are you going to do if the U.S. take control of Greenland? Will Canada intervene? And would you consider, is there a scenario? You said maybe this next step of the U.S. is Canada. First, I would like to start by saying that we are here as proud and strong Canadians. That is our country. And with Greenland, what we'll do will continue to be there as a partner, an ally of NATO, and we are also an Arctic country. We have a strategy for our Arctic, and that means $80 billion increased spending in defense. So this is an issue of continuing to build our international relationships, the protection of the Arctic, ourselves and with our partners, and also being there with NATO countries. Always. As a founding member of NATO, we'll always be there with our allies.
The Canadian government, is the Canadian military looking at scenarios to defend Canada in the event of an American attack?
The work that we are doing in terms of foreign affairs is to grow the Canadian Armed Forces, to invest significantly in the Canadian Armed Forces, and to always ensure that the defense and protection of our country is first and foremost on top of our list of priorities. In terms of CAF planning, those are questions for the Chief of Defence Staff, and I refer you to them.
Minister, what would you say is the greatest threat to Canada's national security today?
Canada's national security is focused on ensuring strength economically as well as strength from a military standpoint. That's why we're putting $80 billion in our national defense, and that is why we are going to continue to diversify supply chains and trading partners. We're the only G7 country that has a free trade agreement with every other G7 country, and so as we address both economic threats and threats militarily in terms of defense and security, we will continue to focus on those goals. I want to say that we are living in a volatile world where there are increasing conflicts, and Canada's foreign policy under a new Prime Minister has shifted significantly, and certainly since I was the Minister of National Defense in 2021 to 2023.
In terms, do you think tariffs would stop Canada from sending, would a threat of tariffs like Mr. Trump has done for European countries, would that stop Canada from sending soldiers to Greenland? As I said, first, the decisions concerning our armed forces remain with the armed forces and Minister McGuinty. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we are here always with our allies, our NATO allies, and I've said that, the Prime Minister has said this, and this means that if there is the requirement of being there with them, not just for meetings, but always we are there, always, because that is a collective spending matter, and we believe in the principles of NATO, so we are always there. Can you clarify what you mean by we are there? So if the U.S. takes control of Greenland, would you send troops from Canada? I know that you want me to offer a decision that remains with the head of the armed forces, but that is not my role. And I will say again that the decisions for the Canadian Armed Forces remain with the Canadian Armed Forces and Minister McGuinty. But concerning our foreign policy, I would like to underline that we are here in Davos to say that Canada will build our supply chains and also our economic partnerships first. Second, we continue building the defense and security of our country. We are strong and proud Canadians.
Does your government message to Donald Trump at Davos right now when it comes to that Greenland?
As I said in French just now, Canada is an independent country, strong and sovereign, and we will continue to underline the importance of territorial integrity and sovereignty as key principles upon which we participate in NATO and other alliances every day. And that underlines the reason why we will continue to support the Kingdom of Denmark and Greenland. It's a broader question of what are the operating principles upon which we undertake our diplomatic relations. And the operating principles, while this world is so volatile, the operating principles themselves haven't changed. The operating principles are state sovereignty and territorial integrity, and those principles underpin our membership in NATO and our relationships diplomatically around the world. They also underpin the international legal order, and I will say it again, as Canadians, we will continue to stand up for the true north, strong and free, as we expect our allies, partners, and all other countries to respect that sovereignty.
Does your government regard